Are you a mom and wish you had time to write? Well, stay tuned because I'm gonna give you some tips on how to do just that. And I am a Latinx romance author and an OG blogger, been blogging since 2006, and freelance writer. I am also a mom, which is why I wanted to talk to you all today about how to make time for your writing as a mom. It's no easy feat, but I do it and you can too. Tip 1 is to actually schedule a time to write. I'm not gonna tell you to wake up 5 o'clock in the morning before your children, because if you have a child like mine who actually wakes up pretty early, around 6:30, it's almost impossible to do that, especially if you have more than one kid, especially on the weekdays. So I want you to actually look at your calendar, look at your days, and try to schedule in a time to write. It doesn't have to be an hour. It doesn't have to be 3 hours. You can sit down to write in 15-minute increments if that is helpful. The point is to write every day. So just like you schedule pick up and drop off, like I do, I pick up and drop off my son at school, you could also schedule some time in your day to write. If you do have a full-time job like I do, you may even want to schedule writing during your lunchtime if you get an hour, or during your break if you get a break or two throughout the day. The point is to make writing a part of your routine, and by scheduling it and actually physically putting it on your calendar and getting that notification on your calendar, writing time, you are able to do it even as a single or not single busy mom. My second tip on how to find time to write as a mom is to actually ask for help. I know it's hard sometimes for women, especially moms, to ask for help, but there's no way you're going to find time and make time to write if you don't say to your partner, hey, can you just hold the kids at this time every week so that I can really focus on my writing? If you are a single mom like I do, perhaps you have joint custody, use that time to be able to write. If you don't have any support, maybe you need to get a babysitter, or if you can't financially, hire someone to help you, or have no family nearby. I suggest my third tip, and that is to talk to your children about your desire to write and your passion for writing. Yes, we're talking about the third tip right now. Actually sharing with your children how much you love to write, that it is your dream, that as a mom you still have this goal to be a writer, to be a blogger, to publish books. Whatever is your forte as a writer and your niche, you have to communicate this with your kids. And if you have older kids, it's a lot easier because they'll understand more. Younger kids, it's a little bit more difficult. But I have a 5-year-old, and this is what I did so he can give me the actual space. My son is always on top of me, but he understands now that when mommy's on her computer, and sometimes it's for my day job and sometimes it's not for my day job, but when after work, when I'm on my computer and he just happens to be with me and I happen to have an idea that I have to get down and I don't want to wait until he's asleep, I explained to him mommy's writing stories. I self-published my first book, and I actually showed it to my son and said, look baby, mommy wrote this book. Mommy writes stories just like Sesame Street, just like Disney. And he was like, wow, mommy, you wrote a book, you write stories? And now I tell him, baby, mommy's gonna go on the computer, give me like 15-20 minutes, baby. I just wanna write a story. And even if it's a crazy first draft, I have my thoughts and my characters down on paper, and I'm also including my son in my passions and my dreams, and showing him that when you want something, you have to set aside time for it, you have to be committed, and that he deserves, when he has a passion, to also pursue it. Whether he's single or he's a dad or not, he deserves it just like you do, mom. My next tip for moms who want to make time for writing is to join a writers group. There are tons of virtual writers groups that are often free, and if they're not free, they don't cost that much money, maybe a monthly membership to join it. If you have a hard time writing at home because your kids want you to wipe their butt, or they want milk, or they have friends over, then I also suggest maybe finding a writers group locally where you could actually meet on a regular basis with other aspiring writers. If that's difficult for you, you could also find a writer's retreat where you're away from your family and can actually spend a weekend just writing. that costs money, so that's why I always suggest the virtual writer groups like London Writers. That's a writers group that's completely free to join, and they have writing sessions every day, multiple times a day for the East Coast Pacific time and actually London time. So that's a great resource. Or again, you can pay for a retreat or pay for a writers group. The point is to have that community so that you feel supported when you are overwhelmed as a mom who wants to write. And lastly, one of the tips that I think most people don't think about is to actually write throughout the day in between activities. So I'm obsessed with reality television, and I tend to write in between the commercials. So instead of fast forwarding with my DVR, I actually write in between commercials. My son is asleep, and it gives me some of that space. You could also write, if you take public transportation, on your way to work. I used to work in the city, in New York City. I'm based on Long Island, and I used to always pull out my Google Documents on my phone and just write stories. Our commute there, our commute back. If you're anything like me and get tons of ideas in the shower, I also suggest taking a really long shower at night, in the morning, whenever you find the time, take a really long shower and jot down your ideas in the shower. It sounds really silly, but you'd be surprised how one little sentence becomes a whole story when you make the time and find these little pockets of moments and time during the day as a busy mom. One thing that I'm going to link in the description is actually like a waterproof writing pad. It's from Amazon. So that's one thing that you can use when you're actually in the shower. If you have a word that comes up in a sentence or an idea for a story, this happens to me all the time. Or you could just do what I do also, which is when I'm in the shower and I have an idea, I wipe my hands, take my phone, open up my Day One app or my Google Docs and jot it down. The point again is to use every time, every minute of the day, and every resource you can as a busy mom who wants to write. That's it for me, your girl Suhaiti, right here on my channel. I hope that this really helped you moms. I hope these tips are going to just get you to start writing on a regular basis, which is very important as a writer. Also, make sure to follow this channel for more tips for moms and non-moms on writing, blogging, branding, and then some. I'm also going to be sharing my publishing journey so you can come along for the ride. Thank you so much. Until next time.